This is embarrassing. In the middle of the night, while the entire country was sleeping, a few key House Republicans voted to block the release of the Epstein files after Democrats made a clever move to force the publication. This comes exactly 1 week after Donald Trump's hand-picked Attorney General Pam Bondi decided to say the Epstein files don't exist. A few days later, Trump said they do exist, but they were written by Obama, which is a really weak argument in and of itself. But throughout all of this chaos, Democratic Representative Khanna introduced an amendment to the Genius Act. This amendment was cleverly designed to try to force the preservation, compilation, and release of all of the Epstein files, anything related to the investigation, prosecution, incarceration of Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, yesterday, the DOJ was fighting tooth and nail to make sure Ghislaine Maxwell could not testify in front of Congress, to make sure her voice was not heard. Again, this is all happening under Trump's DOJ in a top-down way. Well, we learned after Representative Khanna put this up for a vote that Republicans tried to shoot this down conveniently in the middle of the night. Let me walk you through everything from start to finish, because Republicans did this exactly at a time when people were sleeping to try to cover it up. We won't allow that to happen. Make sure you're joining the Adam Mockler community below. It's free to subscribe, and drop a blue heart in the comment section below. This reads, House GOP blocks Democratic maneuver to force release of Epstein files. House Republicans on Monday night voted against attaching a Democratic amendment to landmark cryptocurrency legislation that would force the Justice Department to release the Jeffrey Epstein files. This comes at a time when Charlie Kirk says, I'm done talking about this. Keep in mind, there are reports that Trump called him the day before and said, please stop talking about this.
Honestly, I'm done talking about Epstein for the time being. I'm going to trust my friends in the administration. I'm going to trust my friends in the government to do what needs to be done, solve it, balls in their hands. I've said plenty this last weekend. So if you guys want to see my commentary on...
I'm going to trust the administration that just lied to my face. Keep in mind, less than a year ago, Charlie Kirk said, vote Trump to release the list. They were promising this, vote Trump to release the list. Now, when Democrats are trying to force the release of the list, all of a sudden, it's not as important. Watch Governor Gavin Newsom explaining this on the Sean Ryan podcast in front of a bunch of young dudes.
Let's talk about the Epstein stuff. There was a big push in his campaign about releasing the Epstein files. When are we going to see the list? And I mean, he rode that, in the campaign, and then
the whole thing has always been, to me, a sideshow. But I thought it got real interesting when Elon put out that tweet. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, a few weeks later, what file? Epstein and Trump knew each other. That's not even, there's no fake videos. Those aren't AI videos of those guys hanging out. It would make a lot, I don't know. I'm going to leave it to more objective minds. I have no objectivity. I'm not going down this rabbit hole except to say, when Elon put that out, I thought it was a big tell. Something's up.
It is a big tell, and Trump's response has been a bigger tell. Here's Lawrence O'Donnell breaking this news right as it happened.
Breaking news, the Republican-controlled House Rules Committee has just voted to block the release of the Epstein files. Joining us now, the member of Congress who forced that vote, Democratic Congressman Khanna of California. Congressman Khanna, give us the latest situation with the House Rules Committee.
Well, it's very disappointing. I had a very simple amendment that the full Epstein files should be released. It went for a vote to the House Rules Committee. Jim McGovern, who is the ranking member for House Democrats, made sure that all 4 Democrats voted for the release. Ralph Norman, a Republican, actually joined with the Democrats, saying that there should be a vote on the full release. Chip Roy didn't show up for the vote, but 7 other Republicans blocked it. So as of now, there is going to be no vote tomorrow, up or down vote on whether the Epstein files should be released.
And this was the first stage of your attempt to get a full vote by the House of Representatives, to see a full recorded vote. Everyone could see how their member of Congress voted on this issue. And that's what was blocked by the Rules Committee, not allowing you to get to that stage on the floor. Why would it be important to have that recorded vote on the floor?
Well, in a very simple way, we should see whose side are you on. That's really what this Epstein file issue has become. It's not just about knowing who's being protected, the rich and the powerful, in terms of who had interaction with Jeffrey Epstein. It's the sense that people have that the government is too beholden to certain interests who have their thumb on the scale, and that they're not working for ordinary people. And what the Democrats are saying is we want to make sure that we get full justice here, that we get full transparency. And this may have been the first attempt that was blocked, but I'll tell you it's not going to be the last attempt. We already have Representative Vesey, who has a resolution. Leader Jeffries is saying that we're going to push for transparency here.
Republicans just straight up embarrassed themselves, and this was a very clever play to force transparency on the Republican Party. I'll explain exactly how. When Khanna introduced this amendment, it was a two-pronged play. Either it forces the release of the actual Epstein files. That was a little bit of a long shot, but it could force the release of the files. Therefore, we get transparency in that regard. Or at the very least, it forces Republicans to put their name on a piece of paper and say we don't want the release of the files. And multiple Republicans did do that. They fell for the trap. This reads, again, House GOP blocks Dem maneuver. House Republicans on Monday night voted against attaching a Democratic amendment that would force the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files. It's the outcome Democrats anticipated and the one they planned for. This plan is now going to use to incite Donald Trump as he continues with the MAGA fallout. The question with Epstein is, who are you on? Which side are you on? Representative Khanna, the author of the Epstein measure, told Axios ahead of the vote. Quote, "Are you on the side of the rich and powerful? Are you on the side of the people?" he said, promising to introduce the amendment again and again and again. The House Rules Committee, which prepares legislation for the House floor, voted 5-6 against attaching the amendment. The measure would have forced Attorney General Pam Bondi to publish all documents on a publicly accessible website. Representative Ralph Norman, who's a Republican, voted yes, but he said, quote, "The public's been asking for it. I think there are files. All of a sudden not to have files is a little strange. We'll see how this plays out. I think the president will do the right thing." Representative Chip Roy did not vote. Wow, really loves the children, Chip Roy. Representative Jim McGovern, a Democrat from Massachusetts, said, "I want to know what the hell is in these files. This is about trust. Republicans said, trust us, vote for us, and we'll release these files." Well, here we are, and they're backtracking entirely. This article reads, Trump admin faces GOP blowback on Congress over Epstein. This one I found interesting because it really points out the corner that a lot of Republicans are in. It details how some right-wing Republican lawmakers who have spent years investing political capital in the promise of a grand reveal are now trying to balance their loyalty to President Trump with placating their base. These Republicans are now in a corner because they don't know, should we vote along with Donald Trump and Pam Bondi, therefore covering up the Epstein files, or should we vote with our constituents? Now, usually they vote with Donald Trump because Trump has the voter base wrapped around his finger, but in this case, the voter base seems to want the release of the Epstein list. So again, a lot of Republican lawmakers are in this weird corner, and they put themselves in this corner. They've set the precedent that they will vote with Donald Trump time and time again, even when it hurts their constituents, even when their constituents don't know or are blind to it. And now they're being put in a spot where they have to openly and publicly put their name on the record and vote against this when their constituents want it to be released. Republican Representative Eric Burleson from Montana said, quote, "I don't think the American people are going to move on that quickly. So I don't understand why they're hiding what they're hiding. This is a priority." He's right there just saying, like, they're hiding something. I'm going to leave it there. But make sure you drop a like on this video if you appreciate the work we do on this channel. We will continue to shine a light on this day in and day out. So subscribe to the Adam Mockler feed below. I'll see you all in the next one, and peace out.